What's up, people? James from Lucrative MMA, back to drop some more knowledge on you. And today I'm going to be coming back after a 3-week break. I'm doing a Lucrative MMA Betting Podcast again. We're going to be talking UFC 265, Ciryl Gane versus Derrick Lewis. I'm real excited to be back, man. It's been 3 weeks. It seems like it's been 3 months. As you guys know, first of all, I have to apologize. Sorry I haven't been up to date the last 3 weeks. But as you guys know, my number one priority is getting the bets out for my website, getting the bets out for myself, getting the bets out to my members. So that has taken up the last 3 weeks. You know, I've been going a little bit deeper into tape. We have had a couple of events, like I think 1 week we had Bellator and the UFC. So I just haven't really had the time, but I have some time before I go on to Liam Pick's Fights podcast later today in about an hour. Shout out to him. I have some time, so I thought I'd come on and I'll bring back the podcast. Hopefully we can make some money. I did want to just do a little recap over the last 3 weeks because obviously I've been away. So I just wanted to recap the last 3 weeks real quickly before I get into the card. And, you know, I won't go over it too much, but you guys are used to my recap videos as well, which I have slacked on a little bit in the last 3 weeks as well. But we have been cashing. I'll just bring up betmma.tips right now. So I think the last podcast I did was the UFC 264 one, right? And I can't remember what I gave out as the most inaccurate betting line on the card. I don't remember. But I do remember I gave out Michelle Pereira versus Nico Price as the most exciting fight on the card. It kind of happened to be the most exciting fight on the card. It looked like it anyway. But yeah, on this card, as you can see, we did well. Obviously, profited 4.26 units. We was risking our, I think, 24-0 record at the time on max bets with the Tuporia and Sean O'Malley inside the distance. Obviously, Herb saved us there with Sean O'Malley getting a stoppage in the third round. Could have been stopped multiple times, but, you know, I thought it definitely was going a distance. So shout out to Herb there. Definitely saved us. I'm not going to go over every single bet. You can see them all here. Obviously, we cashed Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor in the first round. We cashed Irene Aldana, also knocked out her opponent. So it was good. The 2 money line plays got it done. You know, especially cashing Dustin Poirier as an underdog. That was a very, you know, that was pretty satisfying, but obviously not good to see Conor hurt like that. Then the next card we had was Bellator 262. As you can see here, we profited again, plus 2.42 units. We had Arlene Blencow at about a minus 150, I think that is. 2-unit bet on her. She knocked out her opponent in the third round after winning the first 2 rounds, so that was good. And then obviously Saeed Soma knocked out Ronnie Marks again. So two stoppages here, which is always good. You know, when you're betting money lines in general, right? When you're betting on fights, you want your opponent to stop. You want the judges not to be involved. We definitely don't want the judges to be involved this week because we're getting to Houston, and as we know, the Texas judging is not the best in the world, to say the least. So, yeah, it was very good to see, you know, both fighters get the knockout there. And obviously in the UFC 264, both fighters got the finish as well. We didn't cash on the under 4.5 in the main event there, Velasquez versus Keholtz. But we did cash on the 2, you know, Cody Law, Charlie Campbell. They cashed with ease. And then obviously the, I'm not even going to attempt that, but Diana, you know, she didn't get the stoppage, Pantera there. The next event we had, this was one of our best events of the year. We had UFC Fight Night. Obviously, our money line plays didn't do very well here. Went way too heavy on Benitez. Renault turned out to be a bad bet. Jeremy Stevens got ran through. We did have a good underdog cash on Morozov against Khalid Taha. Probably the bet of the evening, in my opinion, plus 140, but obviously looked around minus 400 range. Then obviously we put our 24-0 record on the line again. With a 3-leg parlay, I don't really ever recommend these, but at the end of the day, there is value in every single bet in MMA. No matter what anybody will tell you, don't bet short favorites, don't bet big favorites. There is value in every single bet, and I believe we got value in every one of them lines. Obviously, Makhachev destroyed Amanda Lemos, best fighter in the UFC by far. You know, destroyed her opponent, and then obviously Johnny Eblin mauled for 3 rounds. I won't go over everything here. I'll just give a little shout out to Makhachev, wins in round 4. That was a good cash there. I only played him in round 4 and round 5. Obviously, that come through. A quarter of a unit shot, returned 5 units. That was a very, what's the word? It's a very, I meant to be English, but I'm not very good at English, not very good at vocabulary. But it was a very Good bet to cash. God, I need to definitely start reading because my vocabulary's not the best these days. Anyway, yeah, that's it. We smashed this card really, right? 11 units. Very, very good card for us. Lemos inside the distance went kind of heavy on that. 1.5 added 1 on it. You know, she's the queen. And then we had another event here. Obviously, this was the week before last. Yeah, we did well here. We cashed another 6.62 units. So again, we put our 25-0 record on the line. 25-0 on max bets. I was 24-0. Now I'm 25-0. I've never lost a max bet. When I say max bet, big bets and max bets. So any bet over 5 units is a big bet for me. This was a 7.5 unit play on Eubanks and Yanez. To be honest, the Yanez fight went exactly how I thought. The only thing was different. I didn't think Yanez would be getting tagged up that much. I did think he would be getting tagged up. I did think he'll lose the first round. Actually, I thought to the end of the first round, he could actually knock Randy Costa out. He did start coming back towards the end of that first round. You could see Randy was tiring, but he just didn't get a knockout. He got the knockout in the second round, obviously. But definitely, even though it went exactly how I predicted, it was still a bit of a sweat just because of how good Randy looked. And shout out to Randy's jab, man, because that was amazing. Obviously, Sarge got the easy knockout. It was quite annoying here because I had a great read on the Punahele Soriano versus Brendan Allen fight. But instead of playing his money line, I played round 2 and round 3. I just really didn't think Punahele would survive if he got out of the first round, if Allen got out of the first round. But Punahele, he looked dead to rights in the second round. When it was going into the third round, I was like, yeah, Allen's going to do it in the third round. He's going to cash us that massive plus a 1,000 ticket. But obviously, it wasn't to be. Punahele got that second wind. And yeah, that was a bad read on my part because he did kind of show, you know, toughness, grittiness to be able to weather the storm when he fought. Who's the guy who just got knocked out by the Beverly Hills Ninja? Whatever. When he went 3 rounds before, he did show good, cardio, and not good cardio, but he showed good grittiness, toughness, heart, whatever you want to call it. So that was annoying. But yeah, again, Darren Elkins, Derek Minner, lock of the century. Fight doesn't go to decision. So yeah, plus 6.62 units. Then we had last week. So we lost 5.75 units, so got completely swept on the fight night. Ryan Benoit versus Adashev. Yeah, obviously, Benoit just got his leg chopped off early and basically couldn't recover. It was kind of funny because he even dropped Adashev after that. But yeah, it was good performance by Adashev. Good bet anybody on Adashev. What else do we have? Angling in round 3. Look, just a little bullshit play there. Not even worth talking about that. Obviously, I thought if it did go into round 3, could be in trouble. Still believe that. Didn't go there, though. I was predicting a Melsik Bagdasarian KO. That is what I was predicting. But obviously, I had the bet in round 3. So, you know, I went with that one. Brian Barberina inside the distance. I thought he had him in the third round. Again, I predicted this fight very, very kind of to a T. He just didn't get a knockout. I said he'll be getting taken down early. I said he'll have to weather a storm. I said he'll make Witt work. I said he'll get back to his feet. And I said he'll get a knockout late in the second or third round. Everything happened. He just didn't get a knockout. Shout out to Witt. Anybody on Witt, good bet. Anybody on Barberina, money line, bad bet. I don't think Barberina inside the distance at a plus number was a bad bet. I think, you know, it was a decent bet. How many times does he get that third round knockout? How many times does he get a second round knockout? Does he get it 50% of the time? Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, so this was the same weekend. We actually profited on the weekend, even though we got swept on the UFC because obviously we swept Bellator here. 11 unit bet on Georgi Karakhanyan. I'm not going to go too much in depth on this, but max bet for me, minus 280. I couldn't believe it. I priced Georgie at minus 900. I saw virtually no way for Kiefer to win this fight. It would have to be some sort of, you know, crazy MMA randomness, right? Alexander Hernandez knocking out Beneil Dariush, something like that. Obviously, that wasn't to be. You know, I don't think that happens more than 5 to 10% of the time. So, yeah, what happened is what I thought would happen. He got a first round submission. Very easy win for Georgie there. They're just completely different levels apart, right? It's kind of like an amateur fighter fighting a pro fighter. Not obviously Kiefer is not an amateur. He is a pro, but just the level difference. It's kind of like an amateur fighting a pro. And then Brian Moore, we got him as the underdog there, minus 105. 30-26 his opponent. Not too much to say. So I just wanted to do a little recap. But I'm back. And now I'm going to be talking about UFC 265, right? So I'll just bring up the card here so I know exactly what we're talking about. So as always, the most exciting fight on the card comes first. And I think you guys know what I'm going to go for. I mean, you might know what I'm going to go for. I'll just catch up with the chat real quickly. Shout out to Roguestrom. I see you in here a lot. Thanks for being here. Shermlock just got his wisdom teeth out. Now he's perked up. He's ready for some MMA wisdom. I'm about to drop that. My man Z's MMA. And Z, first of all, shout out to Z for telling everyone to hit the like button. I never say that. I always forget. Please hit the like button. But we got this odds mug right here. If you guys haven't bought the odds mug yet, it's my favorite mug. And I'm not saying that because I like Z. Z's all right. But I'm not saying that because I like him. It's because it's a massive mug, a real big mug. So it's very hearty, you know. And I heard through the grapevine, there's rumors going around that there's a new mug about to be sold. So definitely keep your eyes peeled on Z's Twitter because I heard something is coming out soon. Let's make this money. Shout out to Hunter. All right. I'm not from New Zealand. I'm from London, but I live in Auckland now. All right, here we go. So we're going to go for the most exciting fight on the card. I'm just going to turn the heating off for 1 second. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so the most exciting fight on the card I've gone for. So it was either between Raphael Fazayev versus Bobby Green or the co-main event. Pedro Munoz, Jose Aldo. I've had to go for that one, right? How could I not? It's going to be the most exciting fight. I'll be very surprised if it's not the most exciting fight. And maybe not the most exciting. We might see some madness in another fight that makes it more exciting. But the most high-level / exciting, right? I'm quite on point with these. When I choose the most exciting fight, they turn out to be good fights. You know, hopefully I don't curse this one, but even if I do have some voodoo, some curse about me, I don't think that it can affect Jose Aldo versus Pedro Munoz because these guys are bangers. They come for war. Every single one of their fight is exciting. Even the fight against Marlon Vera, which people will probably say that was one of Aldo's least exciting fights, I still thought it was very exciting. It's just exciting seeing Aldo in the cage, right? Like he rips to the body so beautifully. Like even seeing Aldo throw a body shot, it makes it exciting, even if the fight's not exciting. You know what I mean? Like if someone's even just taking Aldo down, even if he gets back up to the feet, throws a couple of leg kicks and a couple body shots, it just makes the fight exciting because of how beautiful his technique is, right? He's an absolute killer. He looks reinvigorated after he's moved to 135 pounds. He looks good at 135 pounds. He's lost to Peter Yan at 135, which was a good fight until Aldo got tired. You know, he slows down. And then obviously against Marlon Moraes, that was a very close fight. Could have gone either way. Definitely a lot of people were giving it to Aldo. I understand because of the forward pressure. But obviously Marlon also was landing a bit. But yeah, I think definitely could have given that to Aldo there. It was funny because they gave Aldo a title shot off that, which just shows you like the UFC just do what the fuck they want. Speaking of the UFC doing what the fuck they want, they're making an interim title fight, you know, and I'll get to that in a bit, but that is just absolutely ludicrous. But obviously, this is a business, you know, it's for the money. Casuals see a heavyweight title. So I understand, but I'm a purist, you know what I mean? So, like, I don't necessarily agree with it. Anyway, back to this fight. So on the Pedro Munoz side, you know, the guy's a killer. I mean, we saw it in his last fight. He absolutely destroyed the leg of Jimmy Rivera, and Rivera really couldn't get anything going after that. It was kind of similar to the Benoit Adashev fight, you know, like Adashev took out Benoit's leg early, and he couldn't get anything going. And obviously, you know, people like the commentators are always talking about the calf kicks, right? And they're talking like, not like it's a new thing, but they mention it every broadcast. And people not moan, but say on Twitter, like, oh, why are we going to keep talking about the calf kick or keep talking about the calf kick being a new thing? It's been around for 5 years. But I understand the commentators. I mean, you're watching, like, for example, in the Benoit Adashev fight, you're going to talk about the calf kick. You're going to talk about how prevalent it is because it is. And you're going to talk about how debilitating it is because it is. And to be honest, it has come into the game even more in the last 12 months than it did even, I know it's been around for like last 5 years or whatnot, right? It started to creep in over the last 4 or 5 years. But even in the last 12 months, in my opinion, it's Like, it seems like everybody's doing it. 5 years ago, started to come in. 3 years ago, quite a lot of people were doing it. 2 years ago, lots of people were doing it. 12 months ago, the last 12 months, everyone's fucking doing it. COVID era, it's gone through the roof, in my opinion. I don't know whether I'm being recency biased and seeing it more. Or I really think that it's even coming into the game even more now. And that's going to be the tail of this fight because both guys like to kick heavy. Pedro's special move is the calf kick. Aldo seems to do a good job in kind of getting out of the way of the calf kick, but he hasn't fought someone like Pedro who just throws the kicks consistently all the fucking time. Like, he's never fought anyone like that, right? Marlon Vera was throwing a few calf kicks at him. There was a couple that seemed to dig in, a couple that seemed like there was one specific one. I don't remember when it was. It did seem to like a little bit. It looked like it might have troubled Aldo a little bit, but he put on a poker face. But man, it's going to be hard for Aldo to deal with the calf kicking game of Pedro Munoz. Reason being is because his footwork isn't there to do it, right? Like, Aldo is not an in and out fighter. Aldo is a fighter where he stands in the pocket. He's got a Muay Thai stance. So, you know, maybe he can get out by lifting his leg up, stepping back, but he's not going to get out by using footwork, running rings around him, cutting angles. Like, that's not his game, right? He's a Muay Thai fighter. He stands in the middle. He gives one, takes one. He stands in the pocket. He wants to box you up and throw heavy leg kicks. That's his game. He doesn't really have too much more to his game. I do believe he should try and implement some cage control takedowns in this game. I don't think he's going to be able to get Pedro down. Pedro's got a very good takedown defense, but it would be good to like maybe stop the momentum of Pedro because Pedro is going to be coming with that momentum. So this is like on the Pedro side, it's going to be whether he can do damage to Aldo's calf early, right? Because I do believe Aldo's probably going to start good. Pedro's probably going to end good. So you're probably looking at a fight where Pedro at a high clip wins round 3. And then you're probably looking at a fight where Aldo at a decently high clip wins round 1. It's not set in stone. This is MMA. But I will say that in the 3rd round of the fight between Aldo and who was it? Vera. Obviously, Aldo won the 3rd round, right? But that was via takedown with back control. I don't think he's going to be able to do that with Pedro. And then if you go back and watch the Peter Yan fight, that was a close 1st round. You know, Aldo potentially could have been winning it until he got hurt to the body. So it's not definitely set in stone that he's going to win the 1st round and lose the 3rd. But I just think stylistically, this matchup, it is a decent likelihood that Pedro's going to win the 3rd, Aldo's going to win the 1st. So then it really comes down to the 2nd round, right? Who's going to win the 2nd round? I don't know. It might be one of them things where Aldo starts the 2nd round and Pedro ends the 2nd round. You're like, fuck, who do we give that to? Like, I think it's going to be a fucking close fight. Obviously, the odds agree with me. I'll check the odds right now. I do know that Aldo was a -125 last time I looked. Well, when I done tape for it. And actually, I didn't want to play it at that price. I know a lot of people are on Aldo this week. It could turn out to be a great bet because I think another thing that I want to mention about this fight, and I'll just say it while I'm pulling up the odds. Actually, the odds have gone to a -110 pick'em now, which is interesting. So he's not -125 anymore. So there has been a little bit of money coming in on Pedro. Yeah, so one thing I want to say about this fight as well is that I think both fighters have the antidote to beat each other, which is really exciting, right? Because, like, so on the Aldo side, I think that he could definitely smack up Pedro because Pedro is hittable. He's there to be hit. He comes forward. So, like, Aldo's going to have ample opportunity to land them punches. You've seen Pedro was getting tagged up by Jimmy Rivera in their last fight in the boxing. And Aldo is a lot better boxer than Jimmy Rivera. Is a very good boxer, but Aldo is a better boxer than him, more power than him. So I think there's going to be ample opportunity, especially in that 1st round, to hurt Pedro badly, right? If I had seen Pedro ever knocked out in his career, ever, then I probably would be betting Aldo in round 1, right? Because I do think that there's going to be so many chances. So I think Aldo has the chance to, like, you know, Pedro's going to give Aldo all the chances in the world to get his game going. But then on the other side, I think Pedro's got a great game to beat Aldo because he's a pressure fighter. You know, he walks forward. He kicks the calf consistently. He's never, ever going to let Aldo breathe, right? And he's going to try and wear you down. He's going to wear Aldo down, which is Aldo doesn't like them fight. When he fights fighters, he doesn't like them. Obviously, Peter Yan, he is a pressure fighter. He's a bit low volume, but he is a pressure fighter. He keeps that pace. He never gives you a chance to breathe. He will stand in a pocket and be very calculated, but he's not going to be at range and like you can have a breath and you're not worried. He's standing in your face, Peter Yan. And so you don't get a chance to breathe in that regard. Not because he's consistently pumping out volume, but just mentally, he's in your face, right? If he hits you and you stumble back, he's going to walk straight forward. There's no time to relax, right? So Peter Yan is a pressure fighter. He stalks you, low volume, but he stalks you. He picks his shots and then he takes you out, which is what he did to Aldo. And obviously, Aldo, Max Holloway, the antithesis, not the antithesis, the embodiment of a pressure fighter. And obviously, what happened there? Obviously, Pedro Munoz is not Peter Yan. Pedro Munoz is not Max Holloway. But this is what we have to go off on when he's fought pressure fighters, right? So, in that regard, I think Pedro's got a good style to beat Aldo. So, as you can tell, guys, I'm pretty split down the middle here. I believe the bookies are right. -110 apiece is fairly accurate. I am actually leaning a little bit more on the Pedro side because I just believe that there's more of a likelihood he wins round 3 than there is that Aldo wins round 1, right? But I think that both happen at a very high clip. But I do think that it's maybe a little bit more likely that he wins round 3. And also because I think he's going to come on a little bit later, that favors the judging criteria. Let's say Aldo wins the first 7.5 minutes, but loses the last 7.5 minutes, right? Let's just say that happens. Pedro will probably get the decision because obviously Aldo's going to win the first round, 5 minutes. Aldo's going to win the second round, the first 2.5 minutes of it, but Pedro's going to win the last 2.5 minutes. So they would likely score that round for Pedro. So that's 1-1 going into the third, and then Pedro wins the third, right? So it's 2-1. So I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying that this is an example of what potentially could happen. So yeah, I do think that I'm leaning a little bit more on the Pedro side, but not super confident, guys. So I'm going to go with Pedro Munoz to get a decision win here. But it's so funny. There's so many outcomes in this fight, and I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be so surprised if Aldo knocks the guy out in round 1, like a classic Aldo knockout round 1, Jeremy Stevens, Moicano type situation. And that's not even classic. That's fairly recent, but, classic in some regards because that was a throwback to his earlier fights. But then I also wouldn't be surprised if Pedro just fucking takes him out late. Aldo just breaks because I do think Aldo's going to slow down. I cannot see Aldo keeping a pace for 3 rounds. I can't see Aldo keeping Pedro's pace for 3 rounds. So he needs to damage Pedro badly so Pedro don't want to continue, right? So Pedro can't keep that pace. He's just too battered. Or he needs to knock him out. And to be honest, I don't know if he's going to do either. So if he doesn't do either, that's why I'm slightly leaning Pedro here. So yeah, I'll take Pedro for the win, but yeah, I want to bet Pedro, but I just can't do it. A line. I want a plus number, and I want like plus 125. I want at least a 5% edge. If I'm calling this a 50-50, maybe I'm calling it a 52% Pedro. But anyway, Pedro for the win, guys. All right, the next fight. I'll just catch up a little quickly on the chat because I see there's lots of people on the chat. And thanks everyone for joining. 41 live viewers. I believe this is the most live viewers I've ever had. So appreciate everyone for being here. I'm going to try and be more consistent. I'm actually really enjoying doing this right now. I guess because I've been away for 3 weeks. The enjoyment comes back. When you're doing it every week, it's a little bit monotonous. But, I will do my best. I'm going on holiday next week. I will be doing all my tape, obviously, this weekend for the next PFL show. So if you're a member, don't worry. All bets will be as normal. But I am going on holiday in New Zealand. So I don't know if I can do the podcast. But I might be able to do it on Friday because I'm coming back on Friday. So we'll see. Shout out to you, Nigel. What's up? Thanks for going live, Lucrative. Love the content. Looking for a few more bets for UFC 265. Okay. I didn't really give you one there, but maybe you want to go with Pedro. I don't know. Z's MMA. This is the 15-ounce big boy. This is a big boy. Look at the size of this one. Bigger than my hands. Aldo won that Mariah's fight. Definitely a close fight. Could have gone him. Shocked to see so many people. To be honest, I've only seen people on Aldo. So, I guess we just follow different people. Aldo should be -175. Interesting. James Wise is hard to bet against Munoz, but also hard to bet against Aldo. Yes, 100%, definitely. All I see from Munoz is his kicks. Yes, but that pressure as well, man, that pressure will break you. And obviously, once he starts kicking, it opens up the hands, you know? So the pressure is a big part of his game. Pressure is not to be fucked with, man. There's some, like Billy Quarantillo based his whole style around pressure. There's some fighters that they ain't got the best, you know, skill set, technique, you know. Maybe I haven't got, you know, you're saying Pedro's only got the kick. Maybe these fighters, they don't have a great 1-2. They don't have a great double leg, but they just got pressure, man, in your face. And that's why Pedro is who he is. That's why Pedro's beat all of these guys, you know. I think he beat Frankie Edgar. He obviously fucked up Jimmy Rivera. They're two good fighters, you know, so. And obviously, he's got wins over Rob Font. He's got many wins in his career. Pedro's got a good guillotine as well. We've got to give him that. Will the pay-per-view broken bone streak end this card? Oh, damn. How long is the streak since the what? Really? Who broke last? Oh, pay-per-view, yeah. Angela Montgomery. What's up, Angela? Love you, Lucrative. Love the transparency. Love your video warning all bettors about bad tippers. Wish I would have listened earlier. You are good dudes. Keep up the grind. Thank you. Yeah. So I wasn't talking about any specific capper, if that's what you're saying. But I think Angela did get scammed by one, but I don't know who it was. I'll just skip because I can't go through the whole. Yeah. All right. Sorry, let me just get back now because the chat's going a bit crazy. Damn, it's kind of hard to keep up with the chat, eh? Getting too popular, boys. I can't keep up with everyone. All right. Where are we going? All right, the most inaccurate betting line on the card. This is interesting. This is like the most anticipated segment of the card, right? Everyone likes to hear this one because I'm basically telling you a good bet, right? If I'm saying this is one of the most inaccurate betting lines, it's definitely a good bet. I've got a couple here. This is like an impromptu stream. I haven't super planned this one because, as I say, I wasn't going to go live, but I do think I know what I'm going to go for. And I actually gave it out on the podcast I went on yesterday, Chronic Combat Conversations. Check me out there. I break out the whole card. And I do give this bet out. It's Angela Hill to win via decision against Tecia Torres at plus 200. I don't know why this bet is plus 200. I think this bet should be at least plus 150. Obviously... Yeah, I don't know why it's plus 200. The line is off, guys. What can I say? You know, there's quite a few lines that are off on this card, in my opinion. There's a lot of lines that are off on this card, in my opinion. So I'm hoping that I've read the card right, and we're gonna have some good, you know, good results. I do think we are, but I don't know why Angela Hill to win via decision is plus 200. She's not gonna stop Tecia Torres, right? Is she gonna stop Tecia Torres? Like, is there anyone really out there? Probably except for Violent Man Z, who bet Angela Hill against Ashley Yoder to finish her, which was a good bet. Is anyone out there really saying Angela Hill is going to stop Tecia Torres? I mean, who does Tecia Torres get stopped by? Let me just bring up her career here because she was fighting killers before the Brianna Van Buren fight. And she's, you know, she's hanging in there against them. 31 years old, in her prime. Yeah, so look, she fights Rose Namajunas back in the day, decision. She's never, ever been stopped in her career, even in a amateur career or exhibition on the Ultimate Fighter. So look, she lost against Jessica Andrade. She went 3 rounds with Andrade. That's a fucking win in itself. Then she goes 3 rounds against Yana Jędrzejczyk. Then she goes 3 rounds against Zhang Weili. Then she goes 3 rounds against Marina Rodriguez. God damn. She gets beat the fuck up. She loses them fights. She has her moments in some of them fights, but she doesn't get stopped by anyone. So if Hill does win, it's going to be a fucking decision. She's not going to fucking stop Tecia Torres. I can say that extremely confidently. So then, what we're saying is that Angela Hill via stoppage is basically off the table. Now, it's MMA, so it's never off the table, but it's 5%. If Angela Hill wins this fight, 95% of the time she wins by decision. It's not 80% of the time. It's not 85. It's 95% of the time, okay? She does not stop Tecia Torres more than 5% of her wins, okay? So if we're saying that, then how often do we think Angela Hill wins this fight, right? If you think Angela Hill wins, then you have to bet her decision line at plus 200. It's a no-brainer, right? Now, do I think she's going to win? I actually do think she's going to win this fight, right? Look, it's not like I don't think she's going to blow her out the water. I don't think she should be minus 200 in this spot. It's a fucking close fight. I don't think she should be the underdog, though. I think maybe some of this line is predicated on because of how their first fight went, right? So if you guys didn't know, this is a rematch. They fought back in the day, 2015, 6 years ago, June 2015. And this fight, it was a fairly close fight, but Tecia Torres won it with her grappling, basically. So on the feet, Angela Hill was doing decent. It was kind of close on the feet, but Tecia Torres, whenever the going got tough, when Angela Hill started putting on that pressure, she basically took it to the ground and she was able to grind out a decision victory. Now, interesting thing about this fight is that, well, first of all, I will say that was Angela Hill's second fight in her career, right? And that was Tecia Torres' sixth fight. It's not like she was a veteran, but it was only Angela Hill's second fight, And an interesting point is that since then, Angela Hill, I think, has had 21 fights. 21 fights since their last fight, right? And they've all been in Invicta or UFC. So she's not fighting bums and she can just fight every single month because she's getting 10-second knockouts fighting amateur bums. She's fighting in Invicta and the UFC, and she's fought 21 times since June 2015. That is absolutely crazy. Guys, do the math. I don't know how many fights that is a year, but what's that? 6 years ago. It's going to be embarrassing me doing math live on air. I should be good, right? If I'm a gambler, but I'm not. All right. So 6 years ago, right? So that's 21 fights. So that's about 3.5 fights a year. Yeah, about 3.5 fights a year. But that's consistent every single year, more than 3 fights for the last 6 years. That's a fucking lot, man. 21 fights a year is pretty extreme. I mean, since then, Tecia Torres has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Tecia Torres had 11 fights and Angela Hill's had 21 fights. So Angela Hill has had way more time to develop, right? And I think she has developed. I think the biggest factor in this fight, well, the biggest difference from their first fight, if you want to look at their skill set, Tecia Torres has improved a hell of a lot. Angela Hill improved a hell of a lot. If you want to take one thing that has improved the most out of both fighters since that skill set, the number one thing, joint between them, what's improved the most, it's Angela Hill's defensive grappling, right? On the ground and on the feet. So takedown defense and submission defense, get up game, just defensive grappling in general. I believe that is the number one thing that has improved over both fighters, right? And that is the number one thing, or the only thing, that won Tecia Torres that last fight. So if Angela Hill is able to keep the fight on the feet, if she's able to have a good get-up game, if Tecia does take her down, I believe she's going to win the stand-up. And if she's going to win the stand-up, she's going to win the fight, in my opinion. And then I think we're getting a plus 200 number on Angela Hill. So I really like the bet. I think the line's off, no matter what way you look at it. Even if you're on the Tecia side, I don't really think, and I'd like to see anyone on the Tecia side in the chat tell me I'm wrong, because obviously everyone looks at fights differently. Everyone has different opinions. But I'd be very surprised to see anybody picking Tecia to win who is also saying that Angela Hill via decision at plus 200 is accurate. Right, because I don't think it is. I think it's wide. Even if you're picking Tecia to win this fight. So that's it. I won't break the fight down a little bit more. I've told you what I think is going to happen. I think Angela Hill is going to be able to keep the distance. And I think Angela Hill, if she doesn't keep the distance, is going to be able to win the defensive, or she's going to have good defensive grappling enough to keep the fight on the feet, which I think she's going to win a close decision. Now, you never want your fighter going to close decisions, in Houston especially, but we're betting on a plus 200 number. We're not betting on a minus 200 favorite, right? So there we go, guys. I just saw a little chat. Trent saying he got plus 225 on Unibet. Ridiculous line, in my opinion. I favor her outright. And so her decision line should be virtually her money line, man, because there's not much difference. So you're making her a plus 110, but her decision line is plus 225. Makes absolutely no sense. So there we go, guys. Not much more. Honestly, her inside the distance should be like plus 800, and then her decision should be like plus 140, right? But they're not doing that, so now we take advantage. Whether it wins, I don't know. Tisha could fucking win the fight. All I know is the market is inaccurate on that line. And that's what we're trying to do, guys. As you guys know, we are not betting on things we think going to happen, right? We are betting on market inefficiencies, okay? That's the only reason why we win in sports betting over the long term. You know, always go back to Davison Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno, the rematch, right? I bet on Brandon Moreno, had a decent size bet at 1.5 units, or 2.5 units, or 2 units, one of them. And I wasn't necessarily pricking Brandon Moreno to win that fight. I was calling it a 50-50 fight, could go either way. I didn't predict Brandon Moreno to win. I still bet on Brandon Moreno. He cashed a lovely plus 200 ticket for me. That is the example I always give when I'm talking about betting market inefficiencies, because it's easy for people to understand why we bet on things that are lines that are inefficient, as opposed to why we bet on who we think is going to win the fight, right? And there's been multiple times where I've bet on a fighter who I think is going to lose, but they win because of the line, right? And then in the long term, you win because the number you're getting, right? You get a lot more return for your money than if you was betting a favorite. If I'm betting Brandon Moreno plus 200, right? If I put $100 on him, I get $200 profit, right? So even though I think he's going to lose, or I think it's 50-50 fight, I'm getting a massive return on investment. Whereas if I'm laying a chalk on Davison Figueiredo, minus 175, I have to put $175 on and I only get $100 back. So in the long term, you're going to lose money if you're calling it a 50-50 fight, right? It's just maths. You can't argue with maths. So I know most of you will know this, but a lot of people are also new to watching my content. They won't really understand professional sports betting. It's not about betting on who you think is going to win. Market inefficiencies, capitalizing on the market like any other market in the world that you want to make money on. That's what it's about. So bang, we're done. Angela Hill to win inside the... No, definitely not. Angela Hill to win via decision, plus 200. Bang. All right. So here we go. Now, we're going to talk about the main event. Main event of the evening, Ciryl Gane versus Derrick Lewis. Look, I'm not going to go crazy and give this a mad breakdown, because the thing about this is, obviously, it's kind of binary, right? We kind of know what's going to happen. Like, Derrick Lewis is reliant on a massive shot, right? If he doesn't land that, he's going to get beat. So I'm not going to sit here and talk for 20 minutes about this, because, you know, you're going to hear the same breakdown from virtually everyone, right? In my opinion, I mean, there's not too many ways you can look at this fight. So, yeah, I'm not going to break this down too hard, guys. I think Ciryl Gane is probably too clever to be hit with a big bomb. It's MMA. It doesn't matter how clever you are. Anybody can get caught. But I just don't think Ciryl Gane will. I think he'll be able to keep distance. I don't think he's going to play that close range game. Obviously, Derrick Lewis knocked out Curtis Blades in his last fight. It's because Curtis Blades was shooting in. Ciryl Gane's not going to be shooting in on him. He doesn't need to. He's going to pick him apart from range. Easy money. He's not a wrestler at heart. He's a kickboxer at heart. Striker at heart. I've been betting on Ciryl Gane ever since he stepped foot in the UFC. I've been doing it on props because obviously he is, he's been a big favorite since he's been in the UFC, except for against Volkov. That was the only time he wasn't a massive favorite. Even then, dude was like minus 175. I bet on him in his first 4 fights in the UFC. I bet on him inside the distance his first fight, inside the distance his second fight, and he cashed that submission 4 seconds before the bell. And then I bet on him via decision, Tanner Boza, like plus 300, crazy number. And I bet on him, who did he fight after Tanner Boza? Junior Dos Santos. And I bet on him to win in round 2 there. And I think I put him in a parlay. He obviously got the knockout in round 2. So I've been betting on this guy. You know, I love this dude. You know, people on Twitter don't like him. You know, they say he's boring and stuff. It's, I don't know. It's absolutely ludicrous. I guess Twitter is obviously full of not casuals, but I guess people who, I guess they are casuals, but maybe if they're on Twitter talking about MMA, they're probably not casuals, right? Because then they wouldn't be on Twitter, right? Casuals is like my mate down the road who, kind of likes it. UFC, asks me about it sometimes. But yeah, so I don't really know why you don't like Ciryl Gane. But people in general, they just have fighters they don't like and stuff. It's absolutely crazy. I don't understand. I don't dislike anyone, you know, like there's very rare fighters. I think Adrian Broner, the boxer, I don't like the guy, you know, because I've seen him like knock people out on the street. I've seen him like, you know, throw dollar bills over cash attendants in what's that big shop you guys have in America? You know, that pop-in one, not Costco. There's another one. Like everything's for cheap. Anyway, that, you know, I've seen him do certain things like that. So I don't like him, you know, but I basically love everyone else, man. Everyone's got their own shtick. Everyone's got their own thing. It is what it is. So I don't really know how you can dislike Ciryl Gane. I guess, yeah, he's not the most exciting fighter in the world. But anyway, I digress. So, yeah, look, I love Ciryl Gane. I've been betting on him his whole career. I will be betting on him here. You know, I will be betting on him in certain prop shots. There's a few ways I'm targeting this fight. I think Ciryl Gane probably gets a third round TKO via body kick. I don't know. Lewis is weak to the body. You know, he has been hurt to the head before, but, you know, he mainly gets hurt to the body. He does take a lot of punishment to the head. He seems to be okay. He did get stopped via headshot. He did get stopped via headshot against Junior Dos Santos, but obviously that is more rare. He usually gets hurt to the body, and he did get hurt to the body badly in that Junior Dos Santos fight anyway. So, yeah, man, I think Ciryl Gane wins this fight via third round TKO. I'm going to stop it there because I'm just going to repeat myself. I mean, Lewis, you know, he's in Houston. Maybe he's going to be invigorated. It doesn't fucking matter. People always talk about that shit, like outside the octagon stuff. Don't worry about, you know, don't really worry about what training camp they're at. Don't worry about, you know, how many abs they have on Instagram. Don't worry about, you know, how motivated they sound in interviews. Don't worry about if they're fighting at home. Like, guys, stylistics, style, how they fight, that's what win the fights. Trust the tape. Yeah, the other stuff, it's about 5%. 95%, you should focus on the stylistics of the fight, what you see on tape, right? The other stuff is 5%, believe me. Anyway, that's it, guys. I ain't going to take too much more of your time. I'll catch up with the chat real quickly before I go, but that's it. So I'll just recap the whole podcast. First, we talked about the most exciting fight on the card. I'm taking Munoz for a win there. Now we're talking about inaccurate betting line on the card. I'm saying Angela Hill via decision at plus 200 is the most inaccurate line. And then we're talking about Ciryl Gane versus Derrick Lewis. I'm taking Ciryl Gane for a third round TKO via body kick. Or body kick starts it off and then he finishes it off with punches against the fence. I'll be selective on what things I choose, what comments I choose. Earl Sweat is saying, do you think the fight completes 2 full rounds in the Gane versus Lewis fight at 165? No, I don't. This might not apply to you at this stage, but curious when you decide to toss up your unit size or advice you have on a topic. Yeah, I mean, I've done it multiple times. I do have a sports betting training course on my website, free to all members, and I, you know, go a little bit more in depth. But I'll just say here that there's multiple ways you can do it. I like to do it if I increase my bankroll by a certain percentage. Then, like, so for example, if I increase my bankroll by 50%, then I'll put my unit size up 50%. You can also do it if you hit a specific number. So let's say your bankroll is 5,000. Maybe once you hit 10,000, then you increase it. That just means that after 100%, you increased it. You know, you could even do it once you increase your bankroll from 5,000 to 7,500. You know, that, you know, whatever you want to do. That means you've increased your bankroll 50%. There's a few ways to do it. You can increase your bankroll quarterly, and obviously it works the same as well. You have to decrease it if you've lost as well, right? You make sure you're doing that. So yeah, there's many ways you can do it. Z's MMA is big on the Aldo train. Aldo got 5 inches of reach here. Pedro, the smallest fight he's ever fought. Pedro don't move his head too much. I think Aldo finds a ton of big... He definitely will. That's a fact. He definitely will find a ton of big shots. Now, does he knock Pedro out? Okay, maybe. If he doesn't knock Pedro out, is Pedro going to be coming on hard in that third round? Will Aldo lose the third round? Highly likely. So then we're talking about the second round. Did Aldo slow down? You know, that's my view on it. But I don't disagree with anything you said there. I mean, you spoke facts, talking about their reach and the smallest fighter and the move his head. And then obviously that's all a fact. You know, it's not a guess. Pedro's volume will be the difference. Also potentially. Angela Montgomery got scammed by a MMA betting tipster. Yeah, make sure that doesn't happen to you guys. I don't know what to say about that. I'm sorry it happened to you, Angela, but it's all good. You're out of it now. And, you know, it's a lesson learned, I guess. Make sure you do your research. Oh, I don't know. Actually, I do know who it is. I've heard, but I don't give a fuck to say his name on my stream. Hunter is saying, meh, your big bets are always on fighters you think will win, which is correct. Well, my big bets are on fighters. So this is how I do my big bets. And this is a little bit of an insight to my philosophy on betting, right? Is that when I do a massive bet, right, it's because I believe there's a good amount of value on the line and then a good chance that they're going to win. So, for example, if I get one or the other, I won't bet it. So if I think a fighter is going to win, but there's not a good value on the line, I won't make it a big bet, right? And on the other hand, if I think there's a lot of value on a bet, but I don't think there's a high likelihood of them winning, I won't make it a big bet. So when I make it a big bet, it's not just one thing, which is what you're saying, it's the combination. So it's a fighter that I think has a great chance of winning. So there's high likelihood of them winning, but then there's also a lot of value on that line. So it's a double, right? So when I've got that much conviction on it, then I'm going to make it a big bet, right? So still, value is number one. Before anything, it's value. And obviously, that's speaking specifically about my big bets. So then when you talk about the rest of my betting, which is 90% of my betting, you know, big bets take up like 10%, then that's heavily predicated on the value and less predicated on the likelihood of them winning. But number one, big bets, no big bets, always value. And if you don't look at value, you will lose long term. You might win for a whole year, but trust me, you will lose long term. Also, you could easily lose every single month you bet, you know, but you know, you might get lucky and go for a great streak, but you will lose long term. Hill by split decision was plus 6.75. Yeah, man. I'd go for it, bro. 100%, especially in that half a unit. Walmart, yeah. Andrew and Broner throwing like dollar bills over people in Walmart, man. Like, relax, man. Relax. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna jump off, boys. Anaconda's saying, especially on an Angela Hill fight, a bet in a split decision. Yeah. Grateful, dude. Thanks for the content. Thanks for being grateful, bro. I appreciate that. Trent L, you can get fight doesn't go the distance minus 200 on a bunch of books. Yeah, you can. So, don't be bet. You better not be betting minus 165. You know, on fight completes 2 rounds. But it's different, right? Because he thinks that it might go over, whereas we're saying it doesn't go over. So, yeah, I guess if you think the fight's going to go over, then it doesn't really matter. Shermlock, are you going to do a small Lewis TKO sprinkle just in case? I'm going for Gane, but it's heavyweight. So, are you high off the perks, bro? You're high right now, right? No, I'm joking. Look, it's never a bad bet, right? Especially at plus 400, plus 375, right? Am I going to do it? You'll have to sign up and see. I'm not sure. Hunter M said, never said one thing. No, so what I was talking about is you said that when I'm making bets when I'm making the big bets, it's not about value. It's not about if I think they're going to win. It's about I do think they're going to win. But what I'm saying is that, yes, I think they're going to win, but I'm also looking at the value as well. So it's not just one. It's also that I'm looking at if there's value on the line, it has to be value on the line. Doesn't matter if I think they're going to win or not, right? So most of my bets, my big bets are on fighters I think they're going to win. Yeah, but it doesn't matter if I think they're going to win. That's actually secondary. The number one thing is if there's value on the line, right? And then secondary, yeah, do I think they're going to win? Okay, then I combine it, then I make the bet. But yeah, but as I said, you know, them big bets, they're only 10%, you know, so 90% of my bets are not. Good stuff. Which you had taught the Cape fight. Yeah, I think Cape wins, but we don't know too much about Osborne. Wisdom teeth gang. But listen, I'm gonna go on Liam Picks Fights podcast. Probably about half an hour. So if you want to see me break down the full card, I'm about to have a drink because I'm running out of saliva now. And I'm going to get off here because I'm literally just rambling, talking shit right now. But I appreciate everybody coming on 100%. Hit the like button if you haven't, because I never say that. I always forget that. And hopefully we can make some money, man. I really think that this is a solid card for betting. Probably one of the best cards I've seen in a while. I have bets on 10 out of the 13 fights on the whole card. So, I mean, it's going to be exciting, right? Whether we win or we lose, it's going to be exciting. I'm currently up 83 units this year, and we've only just started July. So, hopefully I can break through that 100-unit year this year. I'm pretty sure we're going to do it. We only need 17 more units. And my biggest event this year was 19 units. So, I mean, who knows? We might be able to do it this weekend. If any of you want to sign up, lucrativemmaBetting.com. All the links are in the bio if you want to check my results or read more about me. Check the links in the bio. And that's it, guys. Thanks for being here, and I will see you next week. Or in half an hour if you want to go on the Liam Picks Fight Show.